Imagine standing outside a nightclub at midnight. Luxury cars line the curb, music pounds through the walls, and hundreds of people willingly hand over cash just to enter. Inside, waiters parade glowing bottles, cameras flash, and every table seems occupied. From the sidewalk, it looks like money is being printed by the minute. It's easy to believe the owner must be incredibly wealthy. After all, a packed venue should automatically mean enormous profits, right? Yet that assumption has bankrupted countless entrepreneurs. Every year, ambitious investors pour millions into glamorous nightlife venues, only to discover that popularity and profitability are very different things. Some clubs become cultural icons, while others disappear almost overnight, leaving behind unpaid bills, empty dance floors, and disappointed owners. So what separates spectacular success from expensive failure? The answer isn't simply better music, prettier interiors, or famous DJs. It's economics. Hidden beneath every booming bassline is a complicated business model that most guests never notice. Every drink sold, every ticket scanned, every VIP reservation, and every employee clocking in affects whether the club earns real profit or quietly bleeds cash. Even a venue filled with customers can struggle if its costs rise faster than its revenue. That's why experienced investors rarely judge a business by appearances. They ask tougher questions. How much does each customer actually spend? How much does it cost to attract them? Which expenses stay fixed even when attendance falls? And how many profitable weekends are needed to survive one disastrous month? Those answers determine whether flashing lights hide a thriving enterprise or an expensive illusion. Before we can calculate profits, though, we need to understand something even more fundamental. What exactly is a nightclub selling? It may seem obvious, because bars pour drinks and dance floors provide entertainment, but the smartest owners know their true product reaches far beyond alcohol. Once you see what customers are really buying, the entire business becomes impossible to view the nightclub the same way again. That realization opens the door to the hidden psychology driving every profitable night inside the club today and explains why prices soar. What is a nightclub really selling? Most people would answer alcohol, music, or entertainment. In reality, those are merely delivery mechanisms for something much more valuable. A successful nightclub sells emotion, identity, exclusivity, anticipation, and social validation. That's why two identical bottles of beer can have completely different prices depending on where they're served. Walk into a supermarket and you might pay $2 for a beer. Walk into a fashionable nightclub, and that same beer suddenly costs $12. The liquid hasn't changed. The customer has. They're paying for the environment, the music, the energy, and the feeling of belonging. Behavioral economics explains this surprisingly well. Humans don't always buy products. They buy stories about themselves. A crowded club tells people they're somewhere exciting. A VIP wristband signals status. A reserved table communicates importance. The purchase becomes public, visible, and emotionally rewarding. Picture two friends arriving together. The first orders one drink at the bar, enjoys the music, and leaves after midnight. The second gathers friends, books a VIP table, orders premium bottles, and spends $2,000 celebrating a birthday. Neither received dramatically different alcohol. One purchased access to an unforgettable experience that everyone else could see. This is why nightclub owners obsess over atmosphere. Lighting, interior design, carefully selected music, security, customer service, and even the line outside become part of the product. A busy entrance creates curiosity before anyone walks through the door. Scarcity increases perceived value. When people believe access is limited, demand often rises. The biggest mistake outsiders make is assuming higher prices reflect higher costs. Often, they reflect higher perceived value instead. Understanding that difference changes how you evaluate every successful entertainment business. And once you understand what customers are truly buying, you're finally ready to follow every dollar flowing through the nightclub's business model. Next, we'll trace a single Saturday night from the ticket booth to the final cash deposit. You'll see how every purchasing decision creates a different profit margin and why owners encourage certain behaviors more than others. The guest who buys one drink isn't necessarily unprofitable, but the guests celebrating with friends may subsidize much of the evening's economics. Understanding these incentives explains menu pricing, table layouts, promotional events, happy hours, celebrity appearances, and even why some clubs deliberately keep lines outside despite having space inside. None of those choices are accidental. They're calculated attempts to maximize spending while protecting the image customers came to experience. Only then can we separate impressive revenue from genuine profit with clear numbers. Now let's follow the money. Imagine a popular nightclub on a Saturday night. By closing time, exactly 1,000 guests have walked through the doors. Each customer pays a $20 cover charge, immediately generating $20,000 before anyone orders a drink. The dance floor is full, the atmosphere electric, and the cash register starts ringing. Next come drink sales. Suppose the average guest buys 3 drinks priced at $12 each. That's another $36 per person, or $36,000 across the crowd. Add a handful of cocktails and premium spirits, and beverage revenue climbs even higher. Food might contribute a few thousand more, especially if the venue serves late-night menus. But the biggest surprise often comes from VIP tables and bottle service. Imagine 10 groups reserving premium sections at $3,000 each. That alone produces $30,000 in revenue, despite serving far fewer people than the general admission line. Add corporate events, private celebrations, merchandise, and occasional sponsorship deals, and total revenue for the evening could easily reach $120,000. At first glance, those numbers sound incredible. Many viewers would stop the calculation there and assume the owner pocketed nearly everything. That's exactly where the illusion returns. Revenue measures how much money enters the business. Profit measures what remains after every bill has been paid. Confusing those two ideas is one of the most common mistakes people make when evaluating any business. Consider 2 different weekends. On the first, every table sells out, customers order premium bottles, and the average spending per guest stays high. On the second, attendance remains strong, but guests buy fewer drinks because the economy feels uncertain. The club looks equally busy in photographs, yet revenue drops dramatically. From the outside, nobody notices the difference. Inside the accounting records, however, one weekend may be celebrated while the other quietly creates financial stress. Small behavioral changes multiply across hundreds of customers, proving that volume alone never guarantees success. Spending patterns matter just as much as attendance itself every night. Smart owners therefore monitor far more than ticket sales. They track average revenue per customer, beverage margins, table occupancy, repeat visitors, marketing costs, and staffing efficiency. Every metric answers a different question about the health of the business. A packed dance floor with weak spending can be less valuable than a smaller crowd making premium purchases. The goal is not simply attracting people. The goal is attracting the right customers, encouraging the right behaviors, and creating an experience that increases spending without making guests feel pressured. Those extra dollars earned from each visitor often determine whether the month ends in profit or painful losses despite impressive attendance every single weekend. By now, one thing should be clear. Big revenue headlines tell only half the story. Following every dollar reveals where money enters the business, but not where it ultimately goes. The next step is even more revealing because every nightclub faces an army of unavoidable expenses. Rent, payroll, insurance, utilities, inventory, security, taxes, and maintenance patiently wait for their share before the owner keeps anything. Revenue gets attention. Expenses decide who survives, and that's where the real economic battle begins every single month, regardless of how glamorous the business appears from outside. Understanding those costs changes everything about nightclub economics. Now the glamorous illusion begins to fade. Every nightclub owner eventually discovers that revenue attracts attention, but expenses determine survival. The music may stop at 2 in the morning, yet the bills never sleep. Whether the club is packed or nearly empty, many costs continue arriving every single month. Those fixed obligations quietly consume cash long before owners calculate profit. Start with rent. Prime nightlife districts demand premium real estate, and landlords expect payment regardless of how many guests appear. Then come insurance policies covering property, liability, alcohol service, and unexpected incidents. Licenses must be renewed, local taxes must be paid, and compliance requirements rarely become cheaper. Next comes payroll, often the largest operating expense. Bartenders, servers, security teams, managers, cleaners, DJs, hosts, technicians, and maintenance staff all expect reliable wages. A busy Saturday might require dozens of employees, while slower weekdays still demand enough people to keep the venue running safely. Labor costs don't disappear simply because customers decide to stay home. Inventory creates another challenge. Alcohol must be purchased before it is sold. Fresh ingredients spoil, glassware breaks, furniture wears out, sound systems require repairs, lighting equipment needs maintenance, and expensive air conditioning runs for hours every night. Even when everything operates perfectly, utility bills remain enormous because powerful speakers, lighting rigs, refrigeration, ventilation, and climate control consume significant electricity. Water, internet connections, payment processing systems, and software subscriptions quietly add hundreds or thousands more each month. Marketing is another invisible expense. Clubs constantly compete for attention, forcing owners to pay for advertising, social media campaigns, influencer partnerships, promotional events, photography, and special performances. A venue that stops promoting itself can quickly disappear from customers' minds, especially in cities where new entertainment options appear every season. Staying relevant requires continuous investment long before a single ticket is sold. Then there are the unpredictable costs that no spreadsheet fully captures. A broken refrigeration unit can ruin inventory overnight. A plumbing failure might force temporary closure. Security incidents can increase insurance premiums. Regulatory changes may require expensive renovations. Weather can reduce attendance, while transportation strikes, local construction, or economic slowdowns discourage customers from going out altogether. None of these events are unusual. They're part of operating reality. Imagine 2 consecutive months. During the first, every weekend is busy and revenue comfortably covers expenses. During the second, heavy storms cancel several events, consumer confidence weakens, and spending falls. Rent remains identical. Payroll changes only slightly. Insurance, taxes, and utilities still arrive on schedule. Suddenly, what looked like an extremely profitable business becomes surprisingly fragile because fixed costs refuse to shrink as quickly as revenue. This is why experienced investors study income statements instead of Instagram photos. Crowded rooms create excitement, but financial statements reveal resilience. The question isn't whether a nightclub can generate spectacular weekends. It's whether the business can survive ordinary weeks, disappointing seasons, and unexpected setbacks without exhausting its cash reserves. Understanding this difference explains why disciplined operators obsess over budgeting, forecasting, and cash flow rather than appearances. Every dollar saved on unnecessary expenses extends the business's ability to weather difficult periods. Every unnecessary cost reduces flexibility when conditions inevitably change. So if profits can disappear this quickly, why do ambitious entrepreneurs continue opening nightclubs? The answer lies in one remarkably powerful strategy that transforms customer spending, boosts margins, and changes the economics of an entire evening. VIP tables and bottle service. Because those premium experiences concentrate spending into high-margin purchases, they can generate more profit from a handful of guests than dozens of regular customers. Understanding why this works reveals the industry's most misunderstood pricing strategy in remarkable detail. Walk into almost any successful nightclub, and you'll notice something curious. The loudest celebration isn't happening at the crowded bar. It's happening behind velvet ropes, where a small group occupies a reserved table surrounded by sparkling bottle presentations and attentive staff. At first glance, it looks like luxury for luxury's sake. In reality, it's one of the smartest economic strategies in the entire business. Bottle service isn't really about selling alcohol. It's about selling exclusivity. The wholesale cost of a premium bottle might be only $40 or $50. In a liquor store, that same bottle could sell for $70 or $80. Inside a nightclub, however, it might appear on the menu for $600 or even more. The liquid hasn't become better overnight. The experience has. Why would anyone willingly pay such an enormous markup? Because they're purchasing something money can't easily buy elsewhere: visibility. A VIP table offers privacy, priority service, guaranteed seating, and a sense of importance. Friends gather around, strangers notice, and the celebration becomes part of the nightclub's atmosphere. For many guests, that feeling is worth far more than the alcohol itself. From the owner's perspective, the economics are remarkable. Imagine 20 customers standing at the bar ordering individual drinks throughout the evening. Now compare them with one group reserving a premium table, purchasing multiple bottles, and adding food, mixers, and gratuities. Both groups occupy space, but the VIP reservation often generates significantly higher revenue while requiring fewer transactions. That efficiency increases profitability without dramatically increasing operating costs. There's another psychological advantage. High-priced options make everything else appear more affordable, a concept known as price anchoring. When customers see a $2,000 VIP package, a $200 bottle suddenly feels reasonable by comparison. Carefully designed menus guide spending decisions long before anyone places an order. Successful nightclub owners understand that perception influences purchasing behavior just as much as pricing itself. Lighting, music, presentation, and exclusivity work together to transform ordinary products into premium experiences. Every sparkling bottle parade serves as live advertising, encouraging other guests to imagine themselves celebrating the same way during their next visit. But even the most profitable bottle service can't rescue a nightclub built in the wrong place. Customer psychology may increase spending, yet location determines whether enough customers arrive in the first place. To understand why some venues consistently thrive while others struggle despite similar concepts, we need to examine the powerful economics of location. Walk through two nearly identical nightclubs. Both serve the same drinks, hire talented DJs, invest in beautiful interiors, and deliver excellent service. Yet one has people waiting outside every weekend, while the other struggles to fill its dance floor. What changed? Not the music, not the cocktails. The difference is location. A great location creates advantages that money alone cannot easily replicate. Busy entertainment districts naturally attract people already looking for nightlife. Tourists wander nearby, office workers stop after work, and groups planning an evening out have multiple venues within walking distance. Every neighboring restaurant, theater, or hotel quietly feeds potential customers toward the club. Now compare that with an identical venue hidden in an isolated industrial area. Customers must make a deliberate decision to travel there. Parking may be limited, transportation inconvenient, and safety concerns may discourage spontaneous visits. Even excellent marketing struggles to overcome those disadvantages every single weekend. Economists call this network effects. Popular nightlife areas become more valuable because successful businesses attract even more visitors. More visitors encourage additional restaurants, bars, hotels, and entertainment venues to open. That creates a self-reinforcing cycle where everyone benefits from shared foot traffic. Location also becomes an economic moat. Competitors can copy your menu, renovate their interior, but they cannot easily relocate an entire neighborhood. That advantage compounds over time because convenience influences behavior every weekend. People usually choose the option requiring the least effort when several enjoyable alternatives exist. There's another hidden benefit. Prime locations often attract higher-income customers and business travelers willing to spend more on premium experiences. Average revenue per guest rises without changing the product. The same cocktail served in two different neighborhoods can produce dramatically different profits simply because customer expectations and purchasing power differ. Of course, prime real estate comes with higher rent. That trade-off forces owners to calculate whether additional revenue consistently outweighs additional costs. Successful operators don't chase the cheapest building. They evaluate lifetime cash flow, customer acquisition costs, and long-term demand. Even the perfect address cannot guarantee success forever. Consumer tastes evolve, competitors emerge, and nightlife trends constantly shift. A neighborhood that dominates today may lose momentum tomorrow. That's why understanding changing demand matters just as much as choosing the right location in the first place. Leading us to the next. Why do so many successful nightclubs eventually disappear, even after years of packed weekends? The answer has less to do with one catastrophic mistake than with constant, gradual change. Nightlife depends on attention, and attention is one of the most unpredictable resources in business. Today's hottest venue can become tomorrow's forgotten address. Music trends evolve. Fashion changes. New influencers recommend different places. Younger customers seek fresh experiences, while loyal regulars gradually move into different stages of life. A club that feels exciting today can suddenly appear outdated without changing anything. Competition makes the challenge even harder. Every new venue promises bigger events, better entertainment, and more exclusive experiences. Customers naturally become curious, spreading their spending across fresh destinations instead of returning to familiar favorites. Social media accelerates this cycle because viral moments can elevate an unknown club overnight while pushing established names out of the spotlight. Economic conditions create another layer of uncertainty. During prosperous times, people often spend freely on nightlife. When inflation rises, unemployment increases, or consumer confidence weakens, entertainment becomes one of the first expenses households reduce. The dance floor empties long before rent, payroll, or insurance payments shrink, squeezing already thin margins. Unexpected disruptions can also reshape the industry. Neighborhood redevelopment or transportation changes may permanently alter customer behavior. Owners who fail to adapt quickly risk watching demand disappear faster than they imagined. This constant need for reinvention separates nightlife from many other businesses. A neighborhood restaurant may thrive for decades by delivering the same reliable experience. A nightclub, however, often survives only by continuously evolving its brand, music, events, marketing, and customer experience. The broader lesson reaches far beyond entertainment. Businesses built on popularity face a unique challenge because public attention is always moving. Success today never guarantees success tomorrow. Sustainable profitability requires adaptation, disciplined financial management, and the willingness to reinvent before customers demand it. After seeing how fragile nightclub success can be, one final question remains. Given the enormous risks, relentless competition, and unpredictable economics, is owning a nightclub actually a smart investment compared with other opportunities? That's the decision we'll tackle next. After everything we've uncovered, one question remains. Is owning a nightclub actually worth the investment? The answer depends entirely on what kind of investor you want to be. If you're searching for passive income, nightlife is probably the wrong business. A nightclub demands constant attention, late nights, operational discipline, staff management, marketing, customer service, regulatory compliance, and rapid decision-making. Owners cannot simply collect checks. They must solve problems every single day. However, high risk can bring high rewards. Exceptional operators who control costs, build strong brands, secure prime locations, and consistently deliver memorable experiences can generate impressive cash flow. The challenge is that very few businesses require such relentless execution just to remain competitive. Compare nightclub ownership with an apartment building. Tenants usually prefer stability, predictable leases, and recurring payments. Compare it with self-storage, where customers rarely expect entertainment, celebrity appearances, or expensive weekly promotions. Even a coffee shop can operate during daylight hours with simpler staffing and lower security costs. A nightclub, by contrast, compresses enormous operational pressure into just a few peak nights each week. Every weekend feels like a high-stakes performance where one mistake can damage reputation, reduce revenue, or create legal consequences. From an investment perspective, the opportunity cost also matters. The same capital invested in diversified index funds, commercial real estate, or other established businesses may produce steadier long-term returns with significantly less stress. That doesn't mean nightclub ownership is a poor choice. It means investors should evaluate expected returns alongside time commitment, volatility, and personal expertise instead of focusing only on glamorous headlines. Ultimately, The economics of a nightclub reveal a broader lesson about business itself. Crowded rooms do not guarantee healthy profits. Premium pricing only works when customers perceive genuine value. Strong revenue means little without disciplined cost control. And lasting success depends on adapting faster than changing consumer preferences. The next time you see a line stretching around the block outside a popular club, remember what you've learned. Behind every flashing light, every VIP celebration, and every sold-out weekend lies a complex financial system balancing revenue, expenses, psychology, and risk. The loudest businesses often hide the quietest financial realities. The smartest investors never stop at appearances. They follow the numbers, question assumptions, and understand that true wealth is built by mastering economics, not chasing illusions. Whether you ever own a nightclub is almost beside the point. The real value of this breakdown is learning how to analyze any business beneath its marketing. Ask where revenue comes from, which costs never disappear, how customer psychology influences pricing, and whether demand can survive changing trends. Those questions consistently separate informed investors from enthusiastic spectators who mistake excitement for profitability every single weekend they witness.